all over the world, this is the image we instantly recognize as Santa Claus. But this festive icon is based on a real historical figure. A man who came not from the North Pole, but the Eastern Mediterranean. An early Christian bishop whose destiny was shaped by one of Rome's most powerful emperors. A saint whose life still inspires millions around the world and whose relics have become more valued than gold. St. Nicholas. Today, his bones are kept in the Italian town of Bari. Mystery surrounds his life and death.
The bones of St. Nicholas in Bari help us realize that he was a human being. Unlike an elf or a fantasy Santa Claus, he was real.
Every year, thousands of pilgrims flock here to witness a miracle, a mysterious liquid exuding from his bones. Now a forensic pathologist from Bari has discovered the truth about his town's patron saint. Using the latest forensic techniques, he uncovers the secrets hidden in the saint's relics and strips away his ancient images to reveal the real face of Santa. In the year 1087, sailors from the Italian town of Bari traveled across the Mediterranean to what is now modern-day Turkey to commit an act of the greatest sacrilege. Their plan? To steal the bones of St. Nicholas.
To the merchants of Bari, the relics represented spiritual gold, but in another sense, they also represented commercial gold. Gaining control over the relics could bring real economic benefit to their community and indeed to themselves.
They are about to set in motion a series of events that will create one of the world's most popular figures.
Although he spent his entire career in modern-day Turkey, St. Nicholas is remembered by the name of an Italian city.
"900 years later, the citizens of Bari still celebrate the theft of St. Nicholas's bones. Every year, a statue of the saint is taken out to sea, and the whole town reenacts the arrival of the bones in Bari.
One of the consequences of stealing the bones of Nicholas was that his story came to the Western world, the Western Mediterranean, and then into Northern Europe, and then round the world in the form of Santa Claus. If that hadn't have happened, Nicholas might well have remained a rather obscure Eastern saint.
Inside the Basilica of St. Nicholas, the saint's bones are sealed within a simple marble tomb where they were placed over 9 centuries ago. But little is known about the life of the real St. Nicholas. Only his bones remain. What can they reveal about the man behind the legend? Dr. Francesco Introna is one of Italy's top forensic scientists. Trained by the FBI, he specializes in criminal investigations of mafia killings. But his expertise has also been applied to a rather more unusual field, examining the remains of saints. Born in Bari, he has a special interest in the bones of St. Nicholas.
St. Nicholas is, of course, a part of my life, because I am a citizen of Bari. My father's name is St. Nicholas. The second name of my child is Nicholas. I remember that from the time when I was a child, I was really involved in the story of the Basilica and the story of the migration of the bones of St. Nicholas from Mira to Bari.
Using his skills as a forensic pathologist, Dr. Introna wants to piece together the truth behind his city's patron saint.
I am really fascinated to know something more about the life of St. Nicholas. Why St. Nicholas was so important for the Catholic Church, and then why the sailor of Bari stole the bones of St. Nicholas in that period.
His investigation begins in his hometown at the Basilica of St. Nicholas. Dr. Introna wants to discover what is left of the bones inside the crypt. He visits Padre Ciofri, a Dominican priest and historian. Padre Ciofri is the Basilica's official expert on St. Nicholas.
The tomb of St. Nicholas, since 1089, has never been opened, except in 1953 when the bones were taken out for a time. This is the only study, and obviously I have the originals.
Padre Ciofri explains that in the 900 years since the bones were brought to Bari, they have only been examined once. In 1953, the bones had to be moved while the crypt was undergoing repairs. The Vatican took the opportunity to have the remains examined in detail. The specially commissioned report contains X-rays, photographs, scale diagrams, and thousands of measurements of the skeleton. But Dr. Introna is surprised to discover one diagram which shows that many of the bones are missing. Fortunately, the skull is intact, although a piece of jawbone is also unaccounted for. Dr. Introna wonders if the Bari sailors left some of the bones behind in Turkey. Padre Ciofri mentions that the Antalya Museum in Turkey has a few bones which they claim are part of St. Nicholas's missing remains. Dr. Introna decides to travel to Turkey to conduct a detailed forensic investigation of these bones. He was surprised to hear that any of the saint's bones might not be in the crypt in Bari.
A few days ago, I realized that there is a fragment of mandibola in Turkey. And I am really fascinated to realize if this part of bones belongs to the same skeleton, and then to the same person, and then to St. Nicholas.
Before Dr. Introna leaves for Turkey, he sends St. Nicholas's skeletal data to Dr. Caroline Wilkinson at the University of Manchester. She is one of the world's leading experts in facial reconstruction and has the key role of revealing what St. Nicholas actually looked like. Caroline is immediately struck by Nicholas's stature. At just under 5'6", he was below average height even for his time. But it is his skull that is most intriguing.
This image of the skull shows this quite rounded, brachycephalic shape to the skull. The first thing I noticed really is that it's actually quite a big, robust male skull. So in relation to the stature, this is a surprise since he was very small. It's a very large skull.
Caroline will reconstruct St. Nicholas's face from the data she has received from Dr. Introna. He hopes her work will help him to separate the real man from the legendary image and uncover the true story of St. Nicholas. Franco's journey begins in the ancient city of Patara on the southern coast of Turkey. Today, Patara lies in ruins. Its vast amphitheater stands as a silent witness to more turbulent times. Nicholas was born here in the second half of the 3rd century. The story of his life is shrouded in mystery. Nicholas grew up in a pagan world when the entire Mediterranean region was ruled by Rome. Roman society thrived on violence and sacrifice. In public arenas, men were forced to fight for their lives. To Nicholas, such bloody spectacles were barbaric. He was brought up in the Christian faith, a religion detested by the Roman authorities.
Christians were regarded with absolute horror. The persecutions bear the sorts of hallmarks of a late Roman McCarthyism, with the exception that, of course, as with everything else in the Roman world, it was far more brutal in reality than anything we encounter in modern Western societies.
Christians like Nicholas took their religion underground, fearing for their lives. Throughout the region, they met in secret to pray and draw strength from one another. This experience had a profound effect on Nicholas's character.
Nicholas, having lived through a period of persecution, will have realized the immense value of courage. He will have seen people standing up for their right to exist, really, in the face of hostility, and will also known that the community was strengthened by faithful witness, even to the point of death.
Persecution wasn't the only burden Nicholas had to bear. As a young boy, he lost his parents to a plague. But Nicholas had one piece of good fortune. His parents left him a substantial inheritance.
One of the things Nicholas had going for him was he came from a very wealthy family. He wasn't a poor person, so he had prominence in the community by nature of his wealth. And therefore, his good works were easier for him to do because he actually had the means to do it.
Nicholas's wealth adds credibility to one of his most famous acts of charity. It was here in Patara that, according to legend, the young Nicholas performed an act that laid the foundations of Christmas's best-loved tradition. He heard about the plight of a poor father who, unable to afford a dowry for his 3 daughters, was about to sell them into prostitution. Under cover of darkness for 3 nights, Nicholas threw a bag of gold through the window to pay their dowries. The father could scarcely believe his good fortune, but became curious about the identity of his mysterious benefactor. On the 3rd night, he lay in wait.